guys, welcome back to my channel, and to all my new subscribers, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about why I won't sell my knitted pieces. I know this is like a very common thing that a lot of crafters hear, which is your work is so good, why don't you open up a shop and sell it? Or you should be selling your stuff, you could make so much money. And I know this usually comes from a good place and it's kind of a compliment, basically saying that your work is good enough to sell and that people would buy it. And I think a lot of people don't understand what goes behind all the crafting. And this is not just talking about like knitting or crochet. This goes to pretty much any form of craft. I'm just specifically talking about knitting because I knit and I have the most experience with it, and I feel like of a lot of crafts that I can think of, it's probably one of the more slow forms of making something, because you're not just like cutting fabric, you know, you're actually making the fabric. So it takes a very, very long time, especially with all like the details and stuff. So I think people don't really understand, which I don't know how they would understand if they don't knit, how much time it actually takes to do something like that. It's a pretty big undertaking. So for example, right now I'm making this patchwork, I think it's gonna be a sweater. Honestly, I'm kind of conflicted, but this is what the back panel looks like for now. I don't know if it's gonna stay that way or if it's gonna be a sweater at all. But anyway, so my point is each one of these squares takes me about 3 or 4 hours to knit, because I'm knitting back and forth. So it takes a longer time, and also like looking at the color work chart also adds to the time. So I have to make 9 of these panels for the back and probably 9 for the front, and then plus I have to add sleeves to it. So 9 for the back times, I don't know, like 4 hours is 36 hours just for the back. And then plus another 36 hours, that's 72 hours just for the body. That's not counting the sleeves or anything. I actually have no idea how long that's gonna take, because I'm just gonna knit them, like pick up stitches and knit them down, not with squares. But you understand my point. So 72 hours just for a body. And also the cost of yarn can be quite expensive. You know, I know a lot of knitters can easily spend between $100 to $200 for a bigger project, which people don't think that yarn is usually that expensive, which it doesn't have to be. I mean, it depends on what type of material you use. But for natural fibers, it does cost more, especially like where you live and where you're buying it from. And if you have access to a yarn store, if you have to buy it internationally. So all that to be said, there's hidden costs and opportunity costs when it comes to knitting something. So when I'm knitting something for myself, I just like do it in my free time, you know, when I'm not busy or something. And I get really attached to the piece because, you know, like it's something that started off as a thought and then it became a tangible thing. And it's totally customized to myself, you know. I spend a lot of time, since I don't follow patterns exactly when I read them. So there's a lot of guessing I have to do, and that takes time. You know, if you have to unravel something, that's hours that are gone pretty much. Like I just can't tell you how many times I've had to do that just to get something to fit right. And that's because I have myself with me, you know, I can measure how long I want something. But to not have somebody there and to be making something for somebody that you can't be with 24/7 is a little bit trickier. So there's that as well. But also, so going back to the point I was making about how many hours it takes to knit something, let's just say it took 100 hours to make something. And if, let's just say minimum wage is $12 an hour. I'm not sure what it is everywhere, just like for generic purposes. That would be $1,200 just for somebody to make something, minus, that's not even including all the costs of buying the yarn and the money that they invested in the materials and stuff like that. And also the fact that those crafters that are able to make something where people would be like, wow, you should sell that, usually have a couple years or like a year's worth of experience. And usually if you have years worth of experience doing something, you would get a job promotion. So you probably wouldn't be making minimum wage anyways, in most cases. So that being said, I don't think it's a sustainable thing for people to quit their jobs to become a full-time knitter, because a lot of people won't be willing to pay that amount. Like, unless you're a big designer and you're knitting stuff for brands that are compensating you fairly and you're making a good enough wage and you would like to do it anyways. But at the same time, with most people working 9 to 5 jobs and even over 40 hours a week, the time that comes for leisure activities is diminishing. So, in the time, if I was to be profiting all my hobbies, selling my knitted items, at the end of the day, I wouldn't really have time or the joy to want to make something for myself at that point, because I'm not necessarily into knitting because I like the process of it. The process is one component, obviously, but I'm more into it because I like seeing ideas come to life and I like to see the finished product. So if you enjoy knitting and it's something you would have been doing anyways and you want to compensate it in some way, then yeah, that's fine. But for me personally, since it's just something I have to do to get to the end result, I don't really see it as something that I want to compensate. And also, it's okay to not want to or make money off of every single hobby. I know, like, we live in a culture that thinks more that way, and it's okay to want to do stuff for yourself and just personalize it. And also, people sell patterns, and that's a great way that they can have a little side hustle or like a full-time job just selling patterns instead of actually selling the finished product, because then you can make it yourself, you can customize it yourself, you can choose the yarn, everything that you want to do, and also you get to be proud of the fact that you make something yourself. Also, in addition to the pattern making, I also see a lot of people that sell stuff that they made with a knitting machine, which is also a cool idea. And then I think they just like do duplicate stitch and add a design, which is really cool as well. So you can get a cool knitted item, but it doesn't take as long, and that way that they can charge less, so people are more willing to buy it. Also, I feel like something that people don't talk about is the emotional attachment that comes with knitting something and spending super long amounts of time on it. Like, I'm talking 40 plus hours on something. And I just feel like you can't really put a price on that, especially if you're just like selling it and probably never going to see it again. I just feel like, in a way, I value what I made more than somebody else could value something that I made. And also, like, I just want to keep it, I always want to keep them, even if I don't think that they turned out the best. I just spent so much time on it. Why wouldn't I want to keep it? So it's just hard for me to make something knowing that it's not going to be mine at the end of the day. So I just wanted to put that out there because I know that doesn't often come into the conversation, but that's just my 2 cents on it. I'm going to add this as a voiceover because I forgot to mention it, but I hear the term selfish knitter thrown around a lot. And honestly, the word selfish has a pretty negative connotation. I don't think that there's anything selfish about wanting to keep something that you spent a lot of time making. But that being said, I also think that if somebody chooses to make something for you, they really, really care about you. I mean, that is a big time commitment and something that should be celebrated for sure. But yeah, that's honestly why I pretty much only knit for myself, because I feel like I get the most satisfaction out of knowing I can keep something at the end of the day. So, but yeah, this is definitely something that I see brought up a lot, and I feel like going into this rant every single time that somebody says it to me is not really something I want to do. Like, I just say like thank you and move on. But in case you wanted to send this to anybody that has said that, I guess you can feel free to do it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching my video. If there's anything you want to add to this or discuss, I would love to hear what you guys have to think about it. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!